Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Monday, January 13th, 2025. And got a little bit of rain last night. It's a little bit cooler today, which is good. Not so much for the bloody car though. I washed my car again. It's been stinking hot, not a cloud in the sky. So on Saturday, I went and washed my car. And what do you think happened yesterday? It pissed rain. Just totally ruined my wash. Anyway, there are bigger problems in the world, isn't there? But geez, I said to Tara, I said, geez, it's just like clockwork. Well, just if you want it to rain, just go wash your car. Anyway, also last night, I finished watching Breaking Bad for the second time, and I'm sure you've all seen the show, all that sort of stuff. I know people say, Jesus, buddy, it's been gone for 10 years and you ever watched it? I have watched it probably about 10 years ago, actually, when it finished. No, it probably wouldn't be that long, because I watched it in its entirety after the series had finished. I never actually watched it when it was on, strangely enough. I don't know what rock I was in the under, but probably about, 5 or 6 years ago I would have finished it. But I watched it again. What a show. It's like, when you watch something for the first time and it's all great, but then when you go back and watch it again, you sort of know what's going to happen, of course. But you see all the little things that you didn't pick up in the first time you watched it. And as I said, those little Easter eggs they throw in there and little things went, oh, geez, I didn't notice that before. But what a series. And I just think, well, I watched the movie afterwards, by the way, the El Camino movie. So as soon as I think I had 2 or 3 episodes to watch to finish off series 5, 6, whatever it was, 5, 62 episodes in total. And I watched the El Camino movie straight after the final episode when Jesse makes his escape. And geez, what a series it was. The movie was, I thought, just so-so. Look, it wasn't a bad way to wrap it up. I know this is supposed to be walking boxing here, but we're walking bad today, so just for the first few minutes. But yeah, the movie, while I thought it was just okay, not a bad way to wrap it up, I suppose, Jesse's story, but the series as a whole, I just, in my opinion, I know there'll be people that disagree, I just think it is the best series ever made, in my mind, bar none. Not one other series, I'll spit that out. Not one other series for me is even close. Maybe for me, Sons of Anarchy was pretty good as well, but Breaking Bad, just the characters, the storyline, the whole premise of the whole thing, and the way it all came together, and the characters and the plot twists, all that sort of stuff. Wow, and the way they wrapped it up, just brilliant. Anyway. Enough of Breaking Bad. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favour and watch it. Get past the first few episodes or even the first season. It is a brilliant show. Anyway, on to the boxing. And look, I did see a few comments yesterday in response to the Sam Goodman situation. Not on my page, but just around the traps. And the common thing seemed to be, what the hell was he doing sparring? 2 weeks before the fight, and it was stupid by his team, and what was he thinking? Well, you got to remember, guys, you've got to stop sparring at some stage, and there's the trick of when to actually stop. So the proper sparring. Now, that was his last spar, as was the one where he got the first cut. So what you got to remember is you've got to, as I said, have that last spar at some stage. You can't not spar at all and put yourself at risk. So what I mean is, like, there would have been the balancing act of the obvious one. So when do we stop sparring to reduce risk or eliminate the risk of getting cut too close to the fight? In the balance, well, in conjunction or in the balancing act of not being prepared enough. I mean, you've got to spar up to a certain point. So, g'day, how you doing? So what I'm sort of getting at there is that when they sit down and do his training schedule or his sparring schedule, it would be all right, well, this is the point where we finish sparring. And 2 weeks is about it. You've got to remember, if he stops sparring any further out, he could lose his timing, lose maybe a little bit of conditioning. He could lose you know, the little bit of some of the tactics they've been working on. So you've got that to keep in mind. And then, as I said, you've also got the other side of the coin of, well, when do you stop to eliminate risk? So it's a real tough one for everyone concerned. And I understand what people are sort of getting at. What was he doing having a spar 2 weeks before? Well, that was his last spar. And they would have factored in that 2 weeks is Sam's time. That's when he normally finishes up his hard sparring, which is what or not even hard sparring, just sparring in general. But what you got to remember, Sam probably would have done that, every single fight of his career, finishing sparring a couple of weeks before the fight. Sometimes it's even later. So sometimes some fighters it might even be a week and a half before the fight. It's just one of those things. It really is. And he just got cut. It's just an accident and it happens. But yeah, so when you're sort of commenting about that, just keep that in mind, that if he stopped, 3 weeks out, it might be great. He eliminates the risk, but his timing and everything. G'day, how you doing? But his timing and everything might be lost, and a little bit of that conditioning might be lost as well. So again, just got to keep that in mind. I hope I explained that properly. But from a fighter's perspective, you've got to. It's a bit like, I was just going to say, you got to keep up the normal program. You've got to remember, it's a bit like, I'm just going to pick a sport like football, AFL football, rugby league, whatever it might be. You know, they have certain levels of conditioning as well. They've got to put a certain amount of miles in the legs. They've got to do a certain amount of the hard, you know, the weight sessions and the sprint sessions and all that sort of stuff. And then the ball drills, all that sort of thing. You've got to put in a certain level of work to get to a point to be able to play at your optimum. Sometimes risks have to be taken, and you might have a player pull a hamstring or do a knee, whatever. But you've got to do the work to put the conditioning in. It's as simple as that. And the same with Sam. Unfortunately, when it comes to boxing, of course, there is the possibility of getting the cut eye, and that's what happened, unfortunately. And I remember actually being at a Carlton Football Club dinner or something, and they interviewed the conditioning coach there, and he said, look, at some point you've got to push them past the comfort zone, and if they break down, and that's just life. And you move on with it, because again, you've got to have that certain level of condition about you, and that's what Sam did. He needed to have that last spar. And I guarantee it would have been not even a hard spar. It would have just been a spar of, all right, let's just get in there, let's maybe do 6 rounds, just move around, just to put the exclamation mark on his preparation, or the full stop, whatever you call it. And unfortunately, he just got cut, and that is what happened. So I hope I've explained that properly anyway. But all the best to Sam as well. He apparently went in for an operation, and it was a 4-hour operation. That's a lot of work, isn't it? A big operation, 4 hours. Now, I think it was Noonan Boys said that it was 8 exterior stitches and 6 internal stitches, or the other way around. That's a lot of work, and that's going to take a lot of recovery time. And he's going to be out for a little while, I would think. Obviously, it won't stop his physical conditioning, so maybe he might come back a little bit sooner than we think, because you think about it, he'll still be able to do all his road work and bag work and pad work. He just won't be able to probably spar for probably at least a couple of months, you wouldn't have thought. So he might be about 3 or 4 months away from maybe coming back, which is a shame for Sam. But anyway, all the best to him again. On to some other news, and of course I had the Ring Awards over the weekend, Ring Magazine Awards, and a lot of talk. I did see Alexander Usyk with Jai Apatow, which is good. It was actually good to see them standing beside each other. They had the fists up, and just sort of, you almost see them squaring up against each other. There's a little bit of a smirk from both of them, not really a smile. So you just get the feeling that both of those guys knew maybe what was in the works down the track. Especially with Jai, he had that sort of look in his eye, and Usyk to, I suppose, to that extent as well. But as I said, it was good to see them actually square off against each other, stand beside each other and put the fist up. Usyk is a little bit bigger than Jai, of course. At the moment, he's been fighting at heavyweight, but I would have thought that Jai might have, height-wise and all that, been a little bit closer. But wouldn't it be a great fight if they get it on down the track? But I did see some other comments. Daniel Dubois, just with Usyk, said that Usyk got lucky in the fight against him. Okay, Daniel, you can tell yourself that. And I know the knockdown and all that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, mate, you got stopped. It's not like you lost your chance and lost a close decision. You got stopped, mate. So I just don't think that he beats Usyk no matter what happens. But he's got to get past Parker first as well, as we've discussed. I don't know what way you're going there, Neil. How about we go up around there? The good boy. He's about to try and jump a ditch. Look, again, I said yesterday, I think Parker is a good chance against Dubois, so he's got to get past that. But the word is that if he does beat Parker, that himself and Usyk will fight in the second half of 2025, which would, look, it's for boxing-wise, it'd be a great fight. Number 2 for Usyk, who knows, he could be 6-0 against the 3 other best heavyweights of his sort of era. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Dubois, Joshua and Fury 2-0 would be what an achievement. Speaking of Fury and Joshua, Eddie Hearn getting a little bit more vocal about it, and Joshua also, which is unlike him, actually sort of put the semi-call out to Tyson Fury on his social media, sort of saying, where are you? This is the fight everyone needs and wants and everything else. So maybe the ball is just rolling, and Eddie Hearn said he really wants to deliver it in 2025. He said the public want it, they need it. Yeah, I don't know. Look, it's obviously nowhere near as big as it could have been back in the day. It's still a massive fight, but nowhere near as big as it would have been in the past. But I still think it'll be a great fight to make. And I still think it'll be the biggest fight in English history, no matter what people think and say. I just think it'll be a fantastic matchup. And look, I think I've discussed it. It's the only fight for me for both of those guys at this stage. I just don't see them in the mix. Obviously, Usyk and Dubois have got the belts. Maybe there could be, who knows, maybe Fury Dubois, I don't know, but we're not going to see Joshua Dubois. I wouldn't have thought of those. Eddie did say there was 2 options for Joshua. One is Dubois, one is Fury. I'm not so sure he wants Dubois again. I think Dubois got his measure. I think once you get knocked out by somebody, very hard to come back and beat that same guy. I know it's been done in the past, but yeah, I'm not so sure. I just don't think at this stage of his career that's a good fight for Anthony Joshua. I mean, that was a bad knockout. I just think for me, it's Tyson Fury or nobody at this stage. As far as the top lines goes, I know he could probably drop down a couple of levels and fight some of those guys in the the second, third shelves, but I don't think at this stage of his career, Joshua would have the motivation to fight any of those types of guys. I think he wants the big fights, and he'll call it a day. So that is, and look, Tyson Fury's in the same boat, and that is why I think we'll get the fight in 2025. Excuse me. So we will see another fight they're talking about maybe being close to happening is the Garcia Haney rematch. Now there is a clause in that. Garcia has said, yes, I'll take the rematch, but you must drop the lawsuit, which probably makes sense. I mean, it's a ridiculous lawsuit in the first place. I've been pretty vocal about this. Haney was paid the penalty money plus Garcia the not making weight money. I think there was there a fine or something as well. He got well compensated for what happened. The fight was ruled a no contest as well. I'm not quite sure what else he wants. And again, suing a boxer for battery. I mean, come on. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Suing a boxer for battery. It's just so ironic. It is ridiculous. So, but yeah, look, I would still like to see the fight. I think Haney can beat Garcia next time, but is it the mental scars that will be too much for Devin Haney? I mean, it was a close fight in the end. There are a lot of people that thought Haney might have actually won. I don't think so. I think the knockdowns for Ryan Garcia really proved pivotal. What was there, 3 knockdowns from memory? Very hard to come back from that for Devin Haney. As I said, mentally, the scars would be there, and Garcia would know it. I think he'd really get into Haney's head in the lead up to the fight. Who knows? He might even come in heavy again. I don't know. I think there'd be a lot more stipulations in place this time, and you would think that if it is on a Riyadh card, that Turki Al-Sheikh would be right onto this and would, I think he would say to Ryan Garcia, if you pull any of the stunts you did in the first fight as far as the weight and everything, drinking beers on the scales, not that that was a massive thing. It was only a a zero alcohol beer, but we won't have you back on our event. So look, I'm sure they'll keep Ryan in line, but yeah, I would like to see the rematch. I'd really like to see how Devin Haney comes back, and we know physically he's going to be okay, but what will the mental side of things be, especially as I said with Garcia getting into his head, and I think he'd probably try and stir Haney up even more, or even worse than what he did in the first fight. So anyway, we'll see if that comes to fruition as well. And then the other fight that's apparently really close, that again I don't really care about too much, is Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Now that apparently might be in the first sort of not couple of months, it's only a month away, the first 3 or 4 months of the year. So who knows, we might have an announcement of that very soon. I mean, Conor Benn, or Chris Eubank doesn't fight very often either. This way, man. But Conor Benn, he hasn't fought for a while. I know he's had obviously his problems as well outside the ring, but just very, very inactive. I think Eubank Jr. too. I think he's 35 now. So he's running out of time as well. I think this will probably be his last shot. I mean, it's still interesting though that Eubank Jr. is talking Ben and not Canelo. Very, very interesting. So you would have thought that would be the big money fight. Maybe he thinks that Conor Benn is the bigger fight and the bigger money. Who knows? But that looks like it's going to be signed very soon, apparently, allegedly. And one last thing, guys. Smokin Joe Frazier turns, I know he's unfortunately passed away, would have turned 81 today. We did mention George Foreman the other day turned 76. Well, Smokin Joe would have turned 81 today. And one of my favourite all-time fighters, Smokin Joe Frazier. Born in South Carolina, I think back in 44, I think it was. Olympic gold medalist, world champion. I don't think, well, I know he beat Ali, but I don't think he was given enough credit in the all-time pound-for-pound ratings. Just a brilliant, brilliant fighter and one of the greatest. So rest in peace to Smokin Joe Frazier. Well, guys, that's going to do it for today. Hope you have a good start to the week, and we'll catch you tomorrow.